Chuck Austen is a fairly controversial figure in comics. He transitioned from pornographic comics into mainstream work, but while I could make a joke about that, sometimes his work wasn't that bad. For example, I really enjoyed his work on the series Exiles, a book that's kinda like Sliders meets the A-Team. I think he and some other writers work a lot better when they're working with characters either of their own creation or that have smaller backstories to them. Which is why it probably wasn't a good idea to hand him a book like X-Men. As such, let's dig into Uncanny X-Men number 423. This cover is awful and it makes no sense. It's a token shot of Wolverine coming out at the camera all badass-like with broken chains behind him. However, while Wolverine is in the issue, at no point is he chained up. Neither are chains featured for that matter. And his outfit is apparently so tight that we can see every sinew of muscle on his body, even in places I didn't realize there were smaller muscles. Oh, and when did Wolvie pick up the anchored goatee? It just makes him look like a thinly disguised villain and certainly not one of the most popular characters in comics. Surprisingly, this comic is priced at 25 cents. I'd like to think that was an indicator of how much faith Marvel editorial had in the issue, but it was apparently done as a special promotion. One would think that Marvel would want to promote better material than this. There's a recap page, but let me sum it up in one sentence. Teenagers have really complicated and crappy soap opera-like lives. We open the actual story with a montage of various scenes across the world. Included in this is a battle of Christian soldiers versus an unknown foe, a group of unidentified black people wearing Islander wear and holding books, okay, a concentration camp, and an unidentified scene of a mass open grave with several dead individuals within it. Bad comics kill. And on their own, these could have been somber scenes, except for the odd scene of the Islanders holding books. What the hell was that about? But the narration captions ruin it all right from the start. More people have died in the name of religion than have ever died of cancer. And we try to cure cancer. Okay, just how many stupid things can I count with just those lines? While it's certainly true that religious fanaticism in one form or another is responsible for countless deaths, trying to compare it to the amount of cancer deaths is not only ludicrous, but offensive. Cancer is a disease and we have treatments for cancer. There isn't really a surgical procedure at the moment for being blown to several million pieces by a suicide bomber or getting stabbed in the face during the Crusades. Trying to compare premeditated murder with a horrible disease is the height of insensitivity. Gee, Billy, sorry you have a tumor, but at least you weren't made an example of by those wacko religious fanatics. On top of that, and we try to cure cancer, is just terrible writing. Is the guy advocating that we should try to cure religious extremism? Again, it's trying to say that a disease and a murderous belief system are somehow on an even keel. But anyway, we haven't even gotten to the actual story yet, so let's continue. What is it about our specific belief in God and His wishes that makes us so angry at the specific beliefs in another? It isn't belief in God that does it, it's believing that God doesn't like other people's beliefs that does it. Some of us believe in God and don't have a problem with other people's beliefs unless those beliefs are the ones that say you should kill people for your beliefs. Believe it! What makes us take up arms against those who pray to the same God with different words and make holy war against them? Oh, now I'm seriously calling bullcrap on this. I can assure you that the general beliefs of Christians tend to not match the general beliefs of Muslims, nor do they match the general beliefs of Hindi, Buddhists, Shintoists, and etc. Saying that they're the same God with different words is unbelievably offensive to those who hold their beliefs and just ignorant of all the tenets and differences among the world's religions. Well, congratulations, Chuck Austen. I gave you the benefit of the doubt, and on the first page you already fail! Anyway, we switch to a two-page spread featuring a group of X-Men staring in shock at the fact that several members of their team have quite literally been crucified on their front lawn. The one closest to them has a sign on him that says, "Evolution is not the will of God." I could also point out that it's not his will to nail people up on crosses, but I'm sure I'll understand the logic of this thanks to this quote from Deuteronomy that Austen provides us with, "Do not follow other gods. God is jealous." If there's a biblical scholar watching this, any chance you could explain how jealous God equals crucifixion? Hey, wait a second. Guess what, people? Deuteronomy 7:14 doesn't even say that! In fact, the quote comes from Deuteronomy 6:15! Did no one bother to double-check this? Oh, and the crucifixions themselves? The artist screwed up big time. Each X-Man that's nailed up has the spikes being driven through their palms and feet and they're hanging limply from the crosses. This is quite impossible! The weight of the body can't be supported just from the palms. It'd rip the hands clean through. The only way this would work is if they had some sort of stool or something for their feet to stand on. Otherwise, the Romans would traditionally either tie the hands around the cross by the wrist or simply stab the nails through the wrists. Or maybe these X-Men have super weight reduction as part of their superpowers. On the next page, the narrator, now revealed to be Nightcrawler, gives a breakdown of the members of the team. First is Jean Grey, who by now must have a rotating coffin for popping her back up again with as many times as she's died. Sorry, I'll stop making references to the book's past. Jean announces that she's not picking up any thoughts or heartbeats, declaring them all dead. Next is Logan, whom Nightcrawler says is often called Wolverine because he's short, tough, and has these 100-inch claws that shoot out of each hand. Okay, religion and animal life. Two things that Chuck Austin didn't do any research on. Wolverine yells at the group to get them down as we're introduced to Chamber and Husk. Chamber, according to Nightcrawler, is a walking ad for how mutant gifts can ruin a good jawline. Don't catch the mutant gift, kids, otherwise it'll ruin your jawline! As for Husk, he'd explain her mutant power, but it disturbs me too much. This from a guy who once appeared on a painted cover of a comic butt naked in front of Wolverine without any intended comedy about the situation. For those wondering, Husk's ability is to shed her skin into a different element, which really isn't that disturbing compared to the guy with energy coming out of his mouth or the telepath with a cosmic bird for a soul. Sorry! To make a long story short, too late, Cyclops agrees with Wolverine to get them down and Iceman objects, thinking the police will want to see it. In turn, Cyclops has what we call an heroic spaz attack, once again yelling to take them down. By the by, the X-Men tend to go through a lot of uniforms, and right now they're wearing their worst. Matching blue and yellow jackets, and Cyclops in particular has it worst, with a huge-ass X across his torso. It looks like they're going on a ski trip than trying to fight evil mutants. The X-Men, performing death-defying snowboarding stunts in a world that hates and fears them. Cyclops tells Jean to contact the new nurse, Annie, and she complies, sending a telepathic call to her. Annie, it's me, Jean. Annie, please stop screaming. It's just telepathy. It's not gonna hurt. Well, when you pull yourself together, can you join us in front of the school? You know, if this is how they treat a regular human who is rightfully panicking when she's hearing a voice in her head communicating with her, I've gotta say, I understand why Homo sapiens are afraid of these guys. Nightcrawler makes the comment that the police are going to be unhappy that they're tampering with a crime scene, and Wolverine just rolls his eyes at this and proclaims, "When it comes to mutants, we are the police." Well, so much for Law & Order Mutants Division. I certainly agree with Wolverine on this one, but it makes me scratch my head as to why Nightcrawler is so adamant about such a thing, since we know that the X-Men have more advanced technology available to them than local law enforcement. Oh, come on! It's part of the group's entire premise! The others see that Jubilee has also been crucified, and Wolverine runs to her. He and Iceman pull her down while Wolverine screams for help. Where's a healer? Where's a healer? We need to travel into an instance! All of a sudden, Nightcrawler has his own heroic spaz attack, looking up at the sky and screaming, "Oh Lord, how long shall I cry for help, and you will not listen?" This is God. Your call is very important to us. Jean telekinetically carries two bodies back into the school as Nurse Annie asks who could do such a terrible thing to them. Iceman responds that it was by people who don't like mutants, saying her name sanctimoniously to make her feel bad about her own prejudices. Nightcrawler's narration pipes in with, "Annie the human, Annie the enemy." Maybe I haven't read any X-Men books in a while, but I was under the impression that Professor Xavier thought that humans and mutants weren't supposed to be enemies. Oh, come on! You were all sick of that joke!